Hello, welcome to Geeks Assembled, and this fine bunch of people here have gathered to discuss a 1976 cult movie now. Well, it's classed as a cult movie these days, horror movie. Shall we say very creepy, very atmospheric? It is The Omen. Um, yes, what do we all think of this? So for now, we will just go opening thoughts, and we'll go around the table. So we'll go to Beef Dad, seeing as he's right at the right of me. So Beef Dad, what did you think of the original Omen movie?
It was pretty good actually, and it was quite close to the book, which was good. Um, the performances from Gregory Peck were brilliant as Robert Thorne, the diplomat, who ends up being the father of, well, basically the adoptive father of Damien, the Antichrist. Lee Remick, she was basically in everything around that time, playing the mother, and Billy Whitelaw as Mrs. Baylock. It's got to be so bloody creepy. And when you consider that Billy Whitelaw really one of her sort of top sides was comedy, she is just superb in this. And an impaled Doctor Who. Doctor Who on a stick. I remember that at the time. And yeah, it's creepy, it's atmospheric, and it's brilliantly acted by all the cast, including including the little boy who plays Damien, who really, he plays it so creepy and so well. It's the bit where his nanny hangs herself to get his attention is just incredible. And his reaction was so incredibly cold. The boy was brilliant. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. We even had Frida Dowie in it playing a nun, and Frida Dowie normally she did either classical acting or comedy, and in this she was just so scary as the nun. It's all in all, it was a superbly cast, brilliantly written, and the cinematography on it is superb.
Thanks, Beef Dad. Let's go opening thoughts to Alex and Susan. Let's see what they thought of The Omen.
Go ahead. Yes, I mean, 1976 was a great year for pop culture in both England and America, and it was a great movie. It is a great movie. As Beef Dad said, you have Patrick Troughton, as otherwise known as Doctor Who, as the priest. You have Leo McKern, who also was working on becoming Rumpole, which was going to run for over 15 years. You had Space 1999. You had so many things going that year. I mean, it must have been great for production companies. As far as the movie, it is a great movie. It is creepy. It is atmospheric. It is very common sense, along with the special effects as well. The music is creepy. It's a little overbearing, but I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. So it is a very good movie. I don't know about the other 5 sequels and TV shows and TV movies and other things, but they probably should have left it at 2. But this was a very good movie. It's very well acted. It's very common sense. And again, it's same thing, just like with Village of the Damned. If you make children creepy, then you're doing a good job.
Yeah, I watched this back in the day because it was scary and it was properly scary. And then I watched it after I watched the second Doctor's whole run, just to be up to speed as to what this one and the Kings of Henry VIII, or the Lives of King Henry VIII, and or the Wives. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, the one with Patrick Troughton in it. Anyway, I was pretty amazed by the whole cast and the whole thing. It was really exciting and it was really devastating. And there's all sorts of theology, messy and otherwise, in it. It's kind of great in that respect. And in the other respect, the kid was a genius at acting. Absolutely the best performance ever. I mean, he went from being phenomenally evil looking to being really looking sweet and innocent. And when he was crying as a baby, that's just enough to get any woman in the audience going, oh, oh, there's the devil baby, oh, but he's crying. And anyway, that happened. That works. It messed with me. Anyway, I enjoyed it a lot. So that's my opening thought. Thanks.
Thanks, Susan. Let's move over to Stephen Price, see what he thought of the movie.
Great movie, great cast. Gregory Peck, awesome. I've actually met the photographer, who is David Warner of the movie. Met him 4 years ago. Very nice guy. I spoke to him about the movie, and he don't like watching that scene where his head comes off. The child in it was brilliant. No fault in the movie at all. It's very creepy. I like Patrick Troughton as the priest. Billy Whitelaw as the nanny is very, very evil, and brilliantly acted.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Stephen. Billy Whitelaw, brilliant actor. Well, no longer with us now, but she always used to play older than she was. Let's move over to Brian then. Um, I think this is the first time you've seen this movie, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, it is. It's my it's the first time I've ever seen the Omen. I've never seen the Omen film or any of the other Omen films before. In fact, I haven't seen any of the others yet. But with the first one, it's the first time I've ever seen the Omen. What my thoughts on the film are pretty pretty good. I actually liked the film. I, I it wasn't really too scary to me. It was well, I'm used to watching horror films, so it wasn't really that scary. But it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing Gregory Peck in it. I enjoyed seeing Troughton because the second the second Doctor, um, uh, and mostly yeah, the whole movie is just spooky in itself. Having a having a kid at no less, which makes it even more spooky. Having that a kid having it being that um, being a character where it is actually like an evil, or it's an evil child. So it's it's spooky. It's more spooky and scary. The fact that it is a child, so it just wow. So I just was just like, holy crap, it's him. You know, from when I was watching the film, I didn't even know it was the kid until I actually watched the damn movie. But I love it. It's just one of the greatest horror movies I've ever seen. Thumbs up for The Omen. Way to go. And
I'm glad,
also,
I'm
a couple
glad
thumbs
you
up for
associate
Something.
it. um, yeah, it's what it is. People call it a cult classic now. Yes, it's not gory, really. It's more atmospheric. Um, that's helped with the music, the sound score by Jerry Goldsmith. We've all, that is just one of the most famous pieces of music made for in movie history now. Also directed by Richard Donner, who Brian will know. What did he direct?
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to add. I almost forgot about that. I was surprised that Richard Donner did this. This film I would absolutely I absolutely wouldn't expect that Richard Donner would do like this type of film, like a horror flick. I'm used to like him doing like the Goonies, Superman. So I was actually a bit surprised and thrown off that he did like a horror flick and did The Omen. So
Wow, that just shows you that he had a wide range of what he could do. He had a wide range of what he could do. Yeah, I totally agree with what everybody says. I mean, Gregory Peck, they wanted a big name for this movie, and Gregory Peck was one of the big Hollywood stars at the time. They offered him it, and they were surprised that he took it. I'm glad he did, because he was awesome in this movie. It's not what you'd expect Gregory Peck to do, this type of movie. So good on him. As you say, Billy Whitelaw, brilliant actress. David Warner, the same brilliant actor. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's, as you say, the kid. Once you make children sort of spooky, edgy, it does up the movies. As we say, we did Village of the Damned and this. It's all to do with because it's not so horror. It's the religion side of this where people were complaining about when it came out in the cinema because of the satanic, the devil stuff and all like that, and the Antichrist. I think The Exorcist had the same problem when that was released back in the day. People were up in arms about this, but you got to remember it's just a movie. So, but yeah, I enjoyed this. It's on my list as one of my favourite horror movies of all time. So I'll go around now and ask for favourite moments or dislikes. So, Beef Dad, dislikes, favourite moments, favourite actors. Over to you.
I don't have any dislikes on this film. Favourite moments. Well, there's Patrick Troughton being impaled by the by the lightning rod. The moments leading up to that are just so creepy and scary. Obviously, David Warner being beheaded by the sheet of glass. That was so brilliantly done. It was so brilliantly done and unpleasant to watch. But then it's a horror film, it should be. And then there was the fight between Mrs. Baylock and Robert Thorne. Gregory Peck and Billy Whitelaw really going for it. And obviously her being killed in the end. That was pretty creepy, should we say. But earlier on, David Warner and Gregory Peck go to find the mother, the real mother of Damien, and they discover the grave. They open the grave, and inside the grave is a It's not a wolf.
Is it a jackal?
A jackal. That's right. It's a jackal. Yeah, the skeleton of a jackal, and the jackal was the actual mother of him. Which is pretty revolting. But then, of course, they get attacked by the wild dogs, and that was scary. That was scary, especially Gregory Peck climbing over the cemetery fence and impaling himself on one of the pointy things on the top of it was pretty nasty. But yes, it's the other piece that always stood out, and certainly from the book, was at the birthday party where the nanny who wants his attention, and she hangs herself in front of all the people there at the birthday party and the kids at the birthday party, throws herself off the roof with a rope around her neck, and it's pretty evil, and sort of moments that stay up there.
I totally agree with you. There is just some amazing moments in this movie. Susan, Alex, we'll go to you then. Any particular things what stand out for you, or things what could have been done better?
Well, the things that stand out were the deep, the deep questions raised in this spiritually. I enjoyed that. I love the priests that they chose, that they wrote into the story. They were really incredibly cool. And I also like the way it opened and ended with sort of a sweeping. Well, it opened with a sweeping vista and it closed with a sweeping part of scripture. Anyway, that was pretty cool. And the other thing I enjoyed about this was the performance of the child who played Damien. He just nailed it. He nailed it right out of the park. It was just amazing. So all that, and let's see what could have been done differently. Nothing. Patrick Troughton's character, Father Denning or whatever it is, he could have survived. Anyway, poor guy. That's all. Here's Alex.
Okay, well. Yeah, I mean, again, remember, this is before most people had the internet and before they did 10,000 versions of the same story, which they seem to be doing now. But back in the 60s and the 70s and even a little bit of the 80s, they had original stories before they sequelized everything and before everything, got repeated. And then, unfortunately, there's too many special effects now. But back in the 60s and the 70s, not everybody knew it. Not everybody knew the tricks. So it was more scary, more surprising, but it also had to be more realistic. And I think that's what we're missing now, is that the realism isn't there, or as Lee says, it's either too gross or too gory, which, like I said, depending on your point of view, theology aside, it was also a question of the movie is suspenseful because you don't know if that was a coincidence, bad luck, an accident, or if it was all planned, and now you realized that it's pretty much planned. So that's part of another dimension of horror movies that makes it real, is if you don't know, if it's a total surprise, or what happens you don't really expect, whereas now everything is gory and kind of torture and a lot of nudity and all that. So it takes away from the genuine shock and surprise and realism that you had in the 60s and 70s horror movies. That, you know, it was a surprise. You didn't have the internet to spoil it. You didn't have 10,000 sequels. Like I said, I think the music's a little overbearing, but that's okay. Remember, it was 76, just like The Exorcist. And like I said, it was a shock to most audiences because they hadn't done it. It wasn't everywhere. It wasn't everywhere on the internet. It wasn't imitated 1,000 times. So it was more of a shock. The acting is very good. The other movies do suffer a little bit of repeatitis, and they're not as realistic. But this movie is pretty much 95% realistic, so that's probably why it's a classic, because most people are shocked when they see this movie, just like The Exorcist. They're not, you know, totally, oh, this is boring, I'm going to predict what's going to happen, yada yada yada, like you can with an 80s movie. The most 80s movies, that it's totally predictable. Anyway,
Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Alex. Yeah, this is for me is a grounded movie. There's not many special effects in this, and that's a good thing, in my opinion. Stephen.
Right, when it first starts, the music is very, very creepy.
Yeah.
What I disliked about the movie, nothing. When my favorite moments are when the nanny, you know, says, "I'm doing this for you, Damien." After that, you see the boy turning and looking at the Rockweiler. I like that scene. That was very, very creepy. Another favorite part is the Patrick Troughton one, where he gets, you know, killed with the lightning rod. Another favorite part is where the Damien is on his bike, and it's the mother off. I thought when I first seen that, I thought, oh, she's dead, but she's not. You know, the glass taken off the photographer's head, and the part in the graveyard where, you know, all the Rockweilers are, you know, going after both Gregory Peck and David Warner. Again, excellent. I've lost count how many times I watched it.
Well, this is it. That's a mark of a good film. If you don't get bored of rewatching a movie, it's a good film. Brian, talking to you, Brian.
Me?
You're the only one here called Brian.
All right.
I think we do this every cast. We do this every cast. Brian.
Okay.
Any favourite moments or things you didn't like about the movie?
Not really of anything I didn't dislike. I mean, I really enjoyed the film, so there's nothing really that I could think of that I didn't really like. I liked all of it. So, favorite moments probably. I would have to probably say favorite moments would have to be from when David Warner's character is beheaded by the glass going through.
You see, did you expect that to happen? Because I know this is the first time you've seen it. Did you expect that to happen?
A little bit. I mean, because he had he had a thing on his photograph that he took.
Yeah, I know. But when it did happen, did it come as a bit of a shock? Oh wow, I did.
Not really. No.
All right then. It did me when I first saw it.
I kind of expected that to happen because the one within that scene, like they were arguing about not killing Damien, and David Warner's character says, "If you won't do it, I will," and it automatically goes to him picking up the knives, and then. So I kind of expected that to happen. So, I guess my second favorite scene will probably when Damien's mother gets pushed out the hospital building, and you just see the distance and how far below it actually is before she crashes through the hospital truck and just gets killed. I thought the cemetery scene was pretty creepy as well. Like when they were at the cemetery and everything, and the dogs were going after them. I thought that was pretty creepy, and so I think that was like one of my favorite moments as well. So, yeah, pretty much those are my favorite moments within the film. So I again, great movie.
Oh, good. Well, without repeating what everybody else has said, with all their other favourite moments, because I totally agree with everything they've said, I have to say the scenes with Damien kicking and screaming and being dragged by Gregory Peck through the house, down the stairs, into the car. He's kicking and screaming in the car. He's dragged across the floor into the church and stuff. That must have been for I don't know how old was the young boy then. I mean, for those scenes were just very in your face. I mean, there was nothing gory or anything like that, but it was just stood out for me that Gregory Peck was just slinging him about. And it's one of those things in the movie where you think, wow, But apart from that, every other scene, what everybody has mentioned, I mean, Billy Whitelaw just appearing in the hospital behind Lee Remick, that just pure evil in her eyes, just pushing her out the window. Yeah, awesome movie. Anybody got any trivia or anything else they want to say about the movie?
Yeah, there is another part I forgot to mention. One of my favorite parts is when they take the Damien to the church.
Oh, yes.
He's let out of the car and he's screaming, and I think they must have said that scene where they screaming and all that to the church. There's plenty of chocolates or sweets if we do this right.
How to get a young actor to act?
Yeah.
You've got to bear in mind that he was 6 years old when he played Damien. So for a 6-year-old to actually get the creepiness the way he got it is a hell of a job. Brilliant work. And of course he's English.
Well, most of the movie is filmed in England.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah,
so,
but
damn good movie, then. Damn a good movie.
Yeah. He's a good little actor. That one. But I loved the music. I really did enjoy the music, the choral music. That was just so good, so atmospheric.
Who did the music, by the way? Does anybody know?
Jerry Goldsmith.
Yeah, he won. It won 2 Academy Awards, didn't it? I think he won an Academy Award for the film score.
Yeah.
Yeah, might have done. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
in movies, if it wasn't John Jerry Goldsmith.
It was superbly creepy.
So it should be. Anything else from anybody? Shall we move on to? Oh, final sins. Well,
I just like to say something, Lee.
Yes.
I just wanted to say about like with these type of movies, like with horror movies in general, like movies about like like children being like the antagonists and the creepiness of like the main villain and everything within the film. That's what makes it so spooky, because it's the innocence of a child that you would never expect to be so evil and everything. So that's what makes it even more spooky.
Brian, did you just say something intellectual here?
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Well, that made sense. Oh, well, you took me back there. Anybody else? Anything you want to say?
Well, no, I mean, again, I said that before, and also that's part of the reason why it's a classic, because there was only two other films, well, maybe three other films in the whole Western world that had, touched anywhere on that. Children of the Damned and Rosemary's Baby. But of course, with the title Rosemary's Baby, you didn't get to see the child. You saw infant form. But they probably made sequels. I just don't remember. I know they did a TV series recently, but TV miniseries. But again, need to come up with some new characters, and that might be why the horror genre is suffering a little bit, because it's all remakes, and again,
It's all remakes.
yeah,
All remakes of hero movies.
yeah. And the thing is, you have to right, and the thing is, you have to come up with an original idea, not remaking 300 versions of movies that were already done in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s. And even now, 90s. They remade Flatliners, and I don't know why that movie had to be remade.
Well, no, it's not. It's not a remake. That movie isn't a remake, Alex. It's a sequel off of the original.
Well, in any case, in my opinion, even the first movie had a lot to be desired. But the thing is, come up with new ideas, and I know that's going to be hard to do, because most of it has been done already. Go ahead.
And also, the thing is that most horror movies today are just garbage and suck. I'm not saying all of them, but just most of them. They're not as good as the horror movies had.
A good horror movie should be suspenseful. Not if it's going to be 90 minutes of just a gore fest. To me, that's not horror.
Exactly.
At least that's not horror.
Because at least the horror movies that were within 60s, 70s, and 80s, or even maybe the 90s at least, they had a story behind it, and not so much blood and gore, just the story and a little bit blood and gore.
Yeah. Well, no,
Yeah.
you can have blood and gore. That's fine. But
yeah, I'm just saying, don't be like what Lee said, like a total gore fest.
Yeah. No, you can have a little bit. But the problem is, most people don't remember what the story was about. That's the problem. You need a combination of all of the elements. And if you can't remember the movie, then that means it failed, unless you just want to see explosions or fight scenes. But the problem is, unless they're very, very good, like The Matrix, which was imitated way too much, then you don't remember. All you remember is the scene. And that's not a movie, that's a movie scene. So that's the difference, is that if you read a story and you only remember a part of it, or you only remember one scene and you forget the rest of it, then obviously either you've seen too many or it wasn't written well.
Yeah, I mean, all movies today is just gore, 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 gore.
Yeah.
You need a story behind it. You can't just have a
blood. You need storage. You need suspense. Yeah, a few shocks. But anyways, so we'll move on to final say and score then. And I hope this is not going to get 3 6s off score, but you can't, because there's more than 3 people in the cast. So Brian, then let's say what's your final say and what's your score for the Omen?
Okie dokie. My score of the Omen would probably be, I would probably have to give this film a 8 out of 10, Lee.
That's not a bad score. That's not a bad score at all. Right. Stephen, what's your final say and score?
999.
Call the police.
Yeah, brilliant movie. Yeah, it gets a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Brilliant. Susan and Alex.
All right. I will wrap up by saying I enjoyed the I enjoyed this movie. Seeing it again, I will probably watch it again in another couple of years, but it's not like one of those ones that I watch all the time because I like to be a little surprised by how far it takes me, and I guess I'll give it a 9 out of 10.
Good score, Susan. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9 only because it was a trend-setting movie. The other movies are okay until you get to the last two TV movies, and then it's really predictable. I know they tried to do something different, but by that time it was kind of late. The last two TV movies had a woman as the protagonist, so they did try to do something a little different. But like I said, it wasn't trend-setting by the time they got around to it. The second one is good in its own way, The Omen 2. The third movie is good. By the time you get to the fourth, fifth, and sixth, it's really it's yeah it's yeah, that's the other thing about horror movies. They probably should stop at 3 and don't go up to 8 or 12 or have 5 remakes, and it probably would be a lot better for as far as writing. I don't know about the jobs that they need, but but it would be a lot better in terms of the finished product. But this is also somebody who's talking that loves the Sharknado movies, and those are corny as well. So yeah.
Let's move on quickly from that.
I know. No, but I'm trying to be humble, so I'm admitting that I'm watching a bad movie, bad movies. But that's all right. Like I said, some things are just movies too. So
if you want to watch bad movies, come to Geeks Assembled. Beef Dad, what say you?
Well, to be honest, I can't think of anything bad about this film. The screenplay, the cinematography, the acting, the casting, the settings. There is not a weak point. We've even mentioned music. The music is just superb and creepy. There isn't a weak point. So I'm with Stephen on this. It's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you and Mr. Price on this as well, because there's nothing in this movie to complain about. It does what it says on the tin. It's just an awesome movie. It sends chills down your spine every time you watch this. As you said, the score, the acting, just brilliant. I agree with what Alex says. As the sequels go along, they do get worse, but you never can beat the original movie, in my opinion, on any sort of movie franchise. So yeah, it's a 10 from me. So I like to say thank you to these guys for joining us, sitting down and watching The Omen, because some people don't like horror movies. I don't know what's the matter with these people. But so please comment below. Tell us what you think about The Omen, the original movie, or if you want to tell us about the remake, what you thought of that. We're on Twitter if you want to get in touch with us there. We've got Tumblr. We've got a public Facebook group. Just type our name in, Geeks Assemble. We should put somewhere on the page. And I think I've remembered everything there. So apart from thanking these guys once again, we will see you next time down the road. So until next time.
Bye bye.